16 cities won the right to host the 2026 World Cup. Most of them will lose money on it, and the strangest part, they knew that going in. Here's the puzzle. The World Cup is the most watched event on the planet. FIFA is projecting roughly $11 billion in revenue this cycle, the most profitable edition ever staged. Billions of viewers, millions of visitors. So how does the city hosting the party end up with the bill? Follow the contract. When a city signs up to host, it agrees to FIFA's terms, and FIFA's terms are frankly the best deal in sports. FIFA keeps the big revenue: television rights, global sponsorships, ticketing, hospitality. The city keeps the big costs: security, transit, stadium modifications, street closures, sanitation, emergency services. One side of the ledger flies to Zurich, the other side stays home. Now count the costs nobody sees on TV. Security for a single World Cup match in an American city runs into the millions. Multiply by 5, 6, 7 matches. NFL stadiums had to be converted to football dimensions, corporate seats removed, natural grass installed over artificial turf at a cost of millions per venue. Airports staffed up, trains extended, police overtime budgets shattered. Host city commitments routinely land in the tens to hundreds of millions of dollars per city. The sales pitch says tourism pays it all back. Sometimes. But economists who study mega events keep finding the same 3 leaks. First, displacement. World Cup visitors take hotel rooms and restaurant seats that regular tourists would have filled anyway. In a city like New York, the World Cup doesn't create a high season, it replaces one. Second, leakage. Much of the spending flows to international hotel chains, airlines, and FIFA's own hospitality partners, not the local economy. Third, the ghost infrastructure. Stadiums and facilities built or upgraded for 1 month of use, maintained for decades after. Those 3 leaks explain why headline visitor numbers can be misleading. 1 million visitors sounds extraordinary. It is. But the question isn't how many people arrive, it's where the money goes after they spend it. If a tourist books an international hotel chain, flies on a foreign airline, buys official FIFA merchandise, and purchases hospitality packages controlled by tournament partners, only a fraction of that spending stays inside the host city's economy. The rest leaves almost as quickly as the fans do. That's the hidden math. And then there's opportunity cost. Every police officer assigned to the World Cup is a police officer unavailable somewhere else. Every dollar spent widening roads or installing temporary security barriers is a dollar that isn't repairing schools, funding public transport, or maintaining local infrastructure. Governments don't print unlimited money. Every mega event forces trade-offs. That's why economists often argue about what cities could have achieved if those same resources had been invested elsewhere. Supporters call it investment. Critics call it diversion. Both sides are talking about the same money. History is littered with receipts. Brazil spent billions on stadiums for 2014. At least one ended up as a bus parking lot. South Africa built world-class venues for 2010 that now struggle to fill 1/10 of their seats. Qatar's total spend on 2022 has been estimated north of $200 billion, against FIFA revenue of about $7.5 billion. The tournament always profits. The host doesn't always. The problem even has a name among economists: the mega event effect. Before every World Cup or Olympics, forecasts predict booming tourism, long-term investment, and transformational economic growth. After the event, reality is usually much more complicated. Some businesses thrive, others barely notice a difference. Some local residents actually avoid city centres because of crowds, reducing normal spending at restaurants and shops that expected record profits. Even hotel occupancy can be deceptive. Yes, hotels fill up. But many raise prices dramatically, meaning some regular visitors simply postpone their trips until after the tournament. The rooms aren't necessarily additional business, they're different business. That's an important distinction. Because replacing customers isn't the same as creating customers. To be fair, 2026 was designed to break this curse. No new stadiums. Every venue already existed, built by NFL money. 3 countries splitting the load. Existing airports, existing hotels, existing transit. It is genuinely the lowest risk World Cup in modern history. And still, city budget offices from coast to coast have spent this summer explaining 9-figure hosting costs against tourism projections that may or may not arrive. That existing infrastructure changes the equation dramatically. Building stadiums is usually the single biggest expense for World Cup hosts. This time, that bill barely exists. Hosting rights aren't handed out. Cities compete aggressively for them. Why? Because local governments aren't only calculating direct profits, they're calculating exposure. Imagine trying to buy 1 month of global advertising reaching billions of viewers across every continent. The price would be astronomical. The World Cup delivers that attention automatically. Every skyline shot becomes free marketing. Every broadcast drone shot becomes a tourism commercial. Every commentator mentioning the city's restaurants, culture and landmarks becomes promotion money can't easily buy. That's why convention bureaus, tourism boards and local businesses often support hosting bids even when economists remain skeptical. Visibility has value, it's just difficult to measure. And unlike ticket revenue, visibility doesn't arrive as a bank transfer. It arrives over years. Maybe an international company chooses to open an office. Maybe tourists remember the city for their next vacation. Maybe investors see modern infrastructure they hadn't considered before. Those benefits are real, they're simply uncertain. That's what makes hosting such a gamble. Cities pay guaranteed costs for possible future rewards. So why do cities keep fighting for this? Because the return isn't really measured in dollars, it's measured in status. A World Cup is a global advertisement that says, "This city matters." Politicians get legacy, business districts get a spotlight, and for a month, the whole world spells your city's name correctly. There's also prestige that can't be entered into a spreadsheet. Hosting a World Cup places a city alongside names that have staged the biggest sporting moments in history. It's a signal of organisational capacity, of infrastructure, of international relevance. Whether that translates into economic growth depends on what happens after the final whistle. The smartest cities treat the World Cup as the beginning of a strategy, not the strategy itself. If transport improvements continue serving residents, if tourism campaigns build on the global attention, if business relationships formed during the tournament become long-term investments, then the event keeps creating value long after the trophy leaves. If none of those things happen, the economic story ends with the closing ceremony. Whether that's worth a couple $100 million of public money, that's a question every host city's taxpayers are quietly asking right now. Here's the cleanest way to think about it. The World Cup is a franchise business. FIFA owns the brand and collects the royalties. Host cities are franchisees who pay for the build-out. Except unlike a franchise, the store closes after a month and the customers go home. That's why FIFA's financial statements and host city budgets often tell completely different stories. One organisation measures television contracts, sponsorship deals, and global commercial revenue. The other measures police overtime, transit schedules, emergency planning, sanitation crews, and temporary construction. They're participating in the same tournament. They're just playing different financial games. $11 billion will flow out of this tournament. Now you know why almost none of it stays where the games were played. The World Cup creates unforgettable memories. It creates incredible business opportunities. It creates lifelong moments for supporters. But it doesn't automatically create profits for the places hosting those moments. That's the paradox at the heart of modern and mega events. The world's biggest sporting spectacle can simultaneously be a financial triumph for the organiser and a financial question mark for the hosts. The crowds eventually leave, the television cameras move on, the banners come down, the final whistle blows, the bills stay behind. Next question. If the cities don't get rich and the players only see a slice, who is walking away from this summer with generational money? We broke down the full $871 million prize pool in another video. Watch that one next. And subscribe, because the biggest money event of the year starts the day this tournament ends. The transfer window.